Director Kash Patel and Senator Mazie Hirono went head-to-head in a clash that left the room tense and the questions unanswered. From FBI personnel shakeups to counterterrorism priorities, Hirono didn't hold back, and Patel fired back, defending his leadership and achievements. Stick around, because this isn't your typical Senate hearing. This is fireworks in Congress.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, just like the rest of the federal government, there have been significant personnel changes at the FBI since President Trump took office. I want to better understand the scope of the turnover and the changes occurring at the FBI. Since January 2025, how many FBI employees have retired, resigned, been fired, or otherwise separated from employment? I need a number.
We'll get you a number.
What is the number? You don't have it?
Not off the top of my head, and I want to get you the right number.
Would it surprise you to know that it's probably in the thousands, like 5,000?
I don't think that number's accurate.
You don't know. Next question. How many special agents or analysts have left or been fired from the FBI since January 20th, 2025?
Say, we will get you the numbers, and anyone that retires is of their own volition, and anyone that is terminated at the FBI, as I've said before, is done so because they have failed to meet the standards and uphold their loyalty and oath to the Constitution.
Yeah, so you say. Next question. How many executive assistant directors, or special agents in charge have left or been fired from the FBI since January 20th, 2025?
Again, people leaving on their own accord or terminations were done by the standards set at the FBI that have been carried out
With this question, I'm getting to the leadership of the FBI, and you don't have that answer. Next question. Which field office, division, or directorate has lost the most personnel since January 2025? And do you have the answer to that question?
Yeah, actually, every single field office in the country, including Hawaii, has received a plus-up of FBI agents because we're pushing them out to the field.
Okay, so you're telling me that no field office, division, or directorate has lost any personnel since January 20th, 2025? That's your answer?
In Hawaii, there's been a plus-up. In every single state that I'm looking at, we have allocated a plus-up for field offices across the country so that the FBI can continuing the historic achievements it's done in these last 7 months. When you're talking about firings, you're looking for a media hit and a fundraising clip, and I'm not going to give it to you.
It doesn't matter under what basis they left. I just want to know how many have left. And I think your testimony is nobody has left. Next question.
Nope, that's not my testimony. You asked it one time. I answered it one time. You didn't get the answer you wanted for your clips. So you keep asking it. And I told you I'd get you the numbers, but you can keep asking it.
Which field office, division, or directorate has gained the most personnel since January 2025? You noted that there have been plus-ups, so which offices have received these plus-ups?
The greatest allocation that I believe was given to California and then Florida.
Where were those offices?
California and Florida.
Thank you. Director Patel, you often refer to FBI agents as cops. All of us, Democrats and Republicans, support the police officers who keep our communities safe. But while our states, cities, counties, and towns all employ police officers to protect our communities, Congress has empowered and equipped the FBI to take on missions that local police cannot, especially taking on terrorists, hackers, and spies. I'd like to assess how well the FBI is able to handle its specialized missions under your leadership. The FBI is the nation's lead federal law enforcement agency for investigating and preventing acts of domestic and international terrorism. And yet the executive assistant directors in charge of the FBI's national security and intelligence branches were both forced out at the beginning of the year. Who replaced them in those positions?
Excellent qualified personnel to lead the mission of arresting 23,000 violent criminals this year alone. That's twice as many as before.
Who took the places of
I'm not going to give you any names so you can attack them.
Why not?
So you can attack them. I'm not doing that. The
You're not
people
gonna
sitting
give
in
me the
those seats
names
are
of-
extremely qualified to handle the job. We
You're not
would
gonna
not
give
have
me
the
the names
results.
of personnel who
we would
should
not
be
have the
on your-
reduction
Right,
of
fine,
violence in the
moving
state
on.
of Hawaii if we did not allocate the
Earlier
resources we
this
did.
year, FBI counterterrorist special agents and investigators were reassigned to assist with immigration enforcement. Reportedly, these counterterrorism experts were returned to the jobs they trained for in late January after Iran threatened to retaliate for our strikes on their nuclear facilities. Have those experts remained in the jobs they trained for since that time? Yes or no?
FBI agents' primary responsibility is exactly what they're assigned to do. We always work with our
So since they
interagency
returned
part.
to their positions,
If you're not
are
going to
they
let
still
me
in
answer,
those
why don't you
positions?
just do your soliloquy in the 4.5 minutes you have
I
left?
am not asking for a soliloquy. It's just a yes or no. Are those people who were returned to their jobs still in those jobs? Yes or no?
They never left.
What was that?
They never left their primary job. It is a surge of resources in law enforcement working with the interagency to combat violent crime and reduce
They were
violent
never-
crime in
okay, they were never
historic
reassigned to do
proportions.
That's your testimony. Okay, Director Patel, the FBI is also the lead federal agency for investigating cyber attacks and
Yes.
cyber intrusions, both by foreign nation states and by non-state hacker groups. Since President Trump's inauguration, the executive assistant director in charge of the criminal and cyber branch and the head of the FBI cyber division have both left the FBI. What are the names of the people who replace them in those positions?
The cyber branch is one of the most impressive at the FBI. 409 arrests this year, 169 convictions. That's a 42% increase from the same time last year.
It's that
So
branch,
any
Mr.
suggestion that the FBI cyber division is not operating at full capacity and better than ever before, the leadership at the branch is implementing these changes necessary to attack the cyber and ransomware infrastructure operators
You know
for Iran,
why
China,
they're
and
important? I
Russia.
want to know who has those positions, since the people who originally were there.
Supremely
Are no longer
qualified
there.
individuals have those positions.
Are they?
Supremely qualified
Who
individuals.
are they? What are the names?
You're not
You
getting
don't
them.
know. Special agents who investigate cybercrime were also reassigned for immigration enforcement. Have those expert investigators returned to their duties? Yes or no?
All agents remained on their primary duties while surging to allocate resources for interagency operations to the Homeland Security task forces across this country.
So are you?
Am I what?
See, I'm not getting the yes or no answers. I get all this explanation. So there you go.
No, you get the work that
Are
the men
you
and women of the
planning
FBI are doing, and you
Any
don't want that.
additional personnel cuts to the cyber division in the future?
The only people that will be terminated at the FBI will be those that violate their oath of office or fail to meet the high standards at the FBI.
Director Patel, the FBI is meant to be the tip of the spear in combating terrorism against the United States from both foreign and domestic sources. It's also our lead agency in fighting the hackers who target our businesses and critical infrastructure. But instead of its specialized role fighting these kinds of terrorists, hackers, and spies, you have the FBI playing the role of local police and helping with immigration enforcement. I'm going to move on to my. You know, you've been asking some questions about changes to your hiring standard, and including college degrees and possibly the age. But, you know, one question I had is that you are now requiring applicants to be able to do a certain kind of pull-ups, which a lot of women cannot because of physiological differences. Are you requiring these kinds of pull-ups?
We are requiring a physical program at BFTC at Quantico because FBI agents carrying guns in the field have to chase down bad guys and do really hard work. The physical fitness standards of those agents
So are you
being
requiring
appropriately
these
assessed.
kinds of pull-ups?
We are requiring everybody to pass the 1811 standards at BFTC. If you want to chase down a bad guy
excuse me,
and put
the
him in
reason I
handcuffs, you
asked-
better be able to do a pull-up.
The reason I ask is that there are concerns about whether or not being able to do these kinds of harsh pull-ups is really required of FBI agents.
Doing one
Anyway,
pull-up
Mr.
is not
Patel,
harsh,
I
and there are
am
always
gravely
medical
concerned.
exemptions to that.
I am gravely concerned by the state of the FBI under your control. And in fact, you are willing to take a cut in your agency of almost $500 million. So the FBI is losing dedicated employees, decades of expertise and specialization, leading to lost to early retirements, firings, and reassignments to immigration enforcement or conducting local police work. Thousands have already left. For as long as you remain as the head of the FBI, I fear the number of departures and summary firings will continue to grow. Mr. Patel, before the vote on your nomination of this committee, I noted that your most significant qualification, this is not just something that I noted, but others, your most significant
Actually gets this place going.
qualification was your 100% loyalty to President Trump. And I fear that that continues to be the motivating factor in your position as FBI Director. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mayor, Mr. Chairman.
Director Patel, did you have
Yes.
anything you wanted to say now?
That is an entire falsehood. You can delete my 16 years of government service to multiple administrations all you want. The fact is that I was a public defender. I was a national security prosecutor. I was a House intelligence staffer. I was a deputy director of intelligence. I was a chief of staff to the Department of Defense and the Secretary of Defense. I led the counterterrorism missions for the White House. Those are just some of the jobs I held in my 16-year career. There was no loyalty then. There's no loyalty now to anything but the Constitution.
Senator Brett.
Yes. Well, before I begin, I want to thank Senator Hirono for what she said, acknowledging that there are physical differences between men and women, talking about that women wouldn't be able to do as many pull-ups, and I think that she was making a case here that there should be different standards. There's a thing called Title IX, and this is why we continue to say we should have biological men and men's sports and biological women and women's sports. And so I look forward to utilizing that to talk to all of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. Maybe they will stand with us in helping us protect women's sports. I think she made a great argument there for it. Moving on to
Senator Mazie Hirono and FBI Director Kash Patel is making headlines. Hirono came prepared, laser-focused on FBI personnel changes since President Trump took office. Retirements, resignations, firings, and reassignments. She wanted hard numbers, names, and explanations. But Patel, as expected, delivered measured responses. He emphasized that anyone who left voluntarily did so on their own accord, and anyone who was terminated did so for failing to meet FBI standards or uphold their oath to the Constitution. Yet he avoided giving exact numbers, highlighting a tension that would define the entire hearing. Hirono pressed on, asking how many executive assistant directors, and special agents in charge had departed. Patel's answer was, essentially, the FBI has seen a plus-up of personnel in every field office nationwide, including Hawaii, California, and Florida. His point? More resources are being allocated, not lost. But Hirono pushed back, pointing out that leadership turnover in national security, intelligence, and cyber divisions could have real consequences for FBI operations. She was essentially asking, is the FBI still able to handle its core missions of counterterrorism, cybercrime, and espionage prevention when experienced agents are being reassigned to tasks like immigration enforcement? Patel defended his strategy, framing it as a redistribution of resources to maximize efficiency and impact. He highlighted some impressive stats: 23,000 violent criminals arrested this year, 409 cybercrime arrests, and a 42% increase in convictions from the previous year. He insisted these figures prove the FBI is operating at full capacity. But Hirono was relentless. She wanted yes or no answers, not narrative, asking repeatedly whether agents who were reassigned had returned to their primary duties. Patel maintained that all agents remained focused on their core responsibilities while contributing to broader interagency efforts. Then came the physical standards discussion. Hirono raised concerns about the new pull-up requirements at the FBI Academy in Quantico, emphasizing that physiological differences between men and women could make these standards difficult for some applicants to meet. Patel pushed back, saying that these standards are necessary for field agents who must be able to chase down suspects and perform the demanding physical work the job requires. He also noted that medical exemptions exist, but the point was clear: the FBI is prioritizing field readiness and capability. Underlying the hearing was a deeper theme: loyalty versus duty. Hirono questioned whether Patel's decisions were influenced by allegiance to former President Trump, particularly given his prior statements and actions during confirmation. Patel, however, vigorously defended his 16-year career in public service, citing his experience as a public defender, national security prosecutor, House intelligence staffer, and senior Pentagon official. He insisted that his only loyalty is to the Constitution and the mission of protecting the country. The exchanges were heated, but they weren't just about personality clashes. They illuminated a real tension in law enforcement leadership today. How do you balance institutional knowledge, expertise, and continuity with reforms, modernization, and political pressures? Hirono highlighted the risk of losing decades of experience due to retirements and reassignment, while Patel stressed the efficiency gains and record-setting results achieved under his leadership. For viewers, this hearing is a masterclass in high-stakes oversight. You can see the friction between accountability and operational secrecy, between lawmakers demanding answers and directors defending complex operational decisions. The takeaway isn't just who won the exchange, it's the insight into how decisions at the top of the FBI can ripple through every division, affecting counterterrorism efforts, cybercrime investigations, and national security operations. Finally, the drama and stakes were underscored by the tone of the exchanges. Hirono's pointed, precise questions contrasted with Patel's measured, sometimes evasive answers, creating a dynamic that kept the tension high and the audience engaged. For anyone following national security or law enforcement policy, this hearing shows how oversight, leadership, and politics intersect in ways that can have real consequences for public safety and national security. In short, the hearing was tense, illuminating, and full of substantive debate. Kash Patel made the case that the FBI is performing at unprecedented levels, while Hirono made the case that leadership turnover and reassignment may compromise the agency's effectiveness. The public was left with lots of information, lots of claims, and important questions about the FBI's future direction. This is exactly the kind of showdown that keeps people watching, talking, and thinking critically about the institutions designed to protect the country. In short, the hearing was tense, illuminating, and full of substantive debate. Kash Patel made the case that the FBI is performing at unprecedented levels, while Hirono made the case that leadership turnover and reassignment may compromise the agency's effectiveness. The public was left with lots of information, lots of claims, and important questions about the FBI's future direction. This is exactly the kind of showdown that keeps people watching, talking, and thinking critically about the institutions designed to protect the country.